Professor Kalafter, Ben Israel, the entire selection committee, I really would like to thank you very, very much. I'm honored to be given this such an acknowledgement, especially in this occasion. Cyber Week is a great reminder for the remarkable cybersecurity we've grown here in Israel, with an impact extending to the entire world. This event brings together the best companies and leaders from all over the world, and I'm humbled being awarded here with this specific audience. On this occasion, I would also like to thank the entire Checkpoint family, who are an integral part of our success, and I'm full of anticipation to continue bringing superior technological solutions to whichever challenges we will face in the future of cybersecurity. So thank you very, very much. I'm really honored to be here. But I'm not leaving you yet. I think that's also a good time to talk a little bit about our vision, or what we are seeing today as the future of cybersecurity. And I'll try to share a little bit what I'm seeing and what we're working on when we face the future of cybersecurity. So I think you're all here because you're all very well averse of the challenges we see in cybersecurity. But this year specifically, in 2017, we're seeing joining of different phenomena that together create something new. We've seen this year things like the fact that everything is connected. I've got a newborn baby, he got a baby crib which is connected to the internet. And I've told this story, so I'm not going to repeat it, but one day I've tried to put him to sleep, it didn't work, and indeed it was a cyber problem in his baby crib. So everything is connected in our business, on our personal life, yet on the same time, we are also under constant attack from many different types of attacks. And we've seen ransomware preventing hotel guests from getting into the room, and we've seen the more famous WannaCry type of attack that immediately took over big parts of the world. We are under attack not just on our traditional attack vectors, not just on our personal computers, on our traditional networks. Our mobile devices, I think today, are the real backdoor to our lives and to our enterprises. Mobile attacks are not in the future, mobile attacks are here. Here is an example of Hooligan, an attack that gave, through a mobile malware, full access to over 1 million people, full accounts on the Google network through a mobile malware. We are seeing today in Checkpoint that when we are going and doing a security checkup for large companies, in 100% of the companies that we are getting into, there is a mobile malware already on the network. So this is not a theoretical risk, this risk is here. And last and not least, and I think that's the part that should maybe scare us all, when we are dealing with cyber criminals or cyber forces, every cyber criminal, every person that's on there has access to the most sophisticated tools that were developed by cyber powers, by governments and so on. And when we look into that, where's the next slide? And we see that every hacker has access to the most sophisticated looks. Just with WannaCry, I mean, we've been saying that for a long time, just with WannaCry, we've seen how tools that were developed by the NSA were used by some anonymous cyber groups. And that's really, really scary, because when you think in the traditional warfare, we know our enemies, we know that we're dealing with a big organization that have something to lose, and the small attackers have very basic tools that we can combat. In cyberspace, there's no boundaries. The single attacker has access to the superpower tools that just a year ago were a secret of the NSA or some other superpower. And that's something we should all, that if you put all of these factors together, the connectivity, the increase in the attack, the risk in mobile, and these sophisticated tools that every hacker have, we're seeing that something new is happening. Let me see just... we are seeing that something new is happening, and that something new is the future which we are in. And now we are in the future of cybersecurity. The future is not something that should be afraid of. The future is already here, and we should get ready for that. And that's what we are trying to talk about and understand how to bring the future of cybersecurity into what we do. What's happened to the presentation now? Okay. So, what should we expect in 2017? We've seen everything that's happened in 2016. We've seen the first half. So first, I think we all understand that attacks will continue to grow, and we should all understand that we are all target. It's not a matter if you're a small entity, if you are big, if you're a government, if you're a small company. We are all targets. The general hacker does not discriminate. They'll try to get into the places when it's easy to break through. What will we see? Advanced threats will continue, and again, the first half of 2017 showed that this is a reality, it's not just a futuristic. Attacks are becoming more sophisticated, they take more tools and put them together, and they continue to target our networks. On the same time, we are moving more and more, and we are extending our environments with the cloud. The cloud is going to be one of the major targets for future attack. The shift there is accelerating, and many companies, many enterprises, and even many governments believe that if we put a computer on the cloud, it's secure because it's brought to us by some of the best companies in the world. The reality is, when we buy a computer on the cloud, it's just like buying a computer on our existing network. If we don't protect, exposed, completely naked, but in the cloud, data center. So the shift to the cloud is another phenomenon that we need to address. Last and not least, and I've talked about it, mobility. These small devices that 100% of us carry in our pockets are the real backdoor to everything we do. Every move, every activity, every data piece that's moving around us can be hacked and can be accessed using the mobile devices. And keep in mind, if in traditional PC we know when it's on, we know when it's off, we know when it's connected, when it's inside the network, it's protected by our perimeter security. Our mobile device is on 100% of the time, it's connected 100% of the time, and even when we're inside our enterprise, when we're inside our corporate headquarters, it's connected to the public network and can broadcast what it sees. So mobility is another trend that we all need to address. So I mean, when we look all of that, and I'm sure that you're all professional in that space, that's not new to you, that's something obvious. So the next question to ask ourselves, are we taking the right approach? We are going to conferences, we are buying, there's almost 1,600 cybersecurity companies in our world today. Are we taking the right approach? And let me look at a simple slide that I think should be an alarm sign for all of us. There are technologies to combat advanced threats. There are technologies that deal with mobile threats. A little bit newer technology, but exists for 2 or 3 years. There are technologies to deal with cloud security. Again, exists for 3 or 4 years. We've done a little bit of a survey and checked with major enterprises. How are they using these technologies today? Anyone can guess what's the percentage of companies using any of these technologies? So you will see how many companies are protected. And actually, when you see the percentages of companies that are not protected, it's even more alarming. Only about 4 to 7% of the companies are using technologies for advanced threat prevention, and that's 5 times more than the other groups here. Mobile security, only about 1% of enterprises are using technology to combat mobile threats. Only between 1 to 2% of companies are using cloud security. So we're clearly seeing that on one hand we are investing, we're talking about the future cyber threats, but in reality we're not necessarily taking the right steps. So why are we all surprised that we're so vulnerable if we're not putting the right protections against these threats? And there are a few reasons, and when we ask people around the world and we ask enterprises around the world, what's the reason and why are they doing? And we hear a lot of explanations. Some of them are excuses, some of them good, some of them are not so good. People are telling us it's too complicated. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it isn't. People say, and that's not a very good excuse, we didn't realize it's such a problem. Yes, we know it's such a problem. There are too many point products, a real challenge. Not enough trained people. That's a real challenge I think that we are all facing, and we need to see how with the limited amount of people and trained people that we have, we're dealing with all of us. And people are even saying we didn't realize it could hurt us. Not a very good excuse in 2017. So what should we do about it, and how do we look about it, and what's the result? So if we look at our environment today, let's compare it to building a house. We all live in a house. We know it can be flooding. We know it can be leaks. We know it can be rainy. And where we build strong houses. In cyberspace today, our roof is very, very leaky. Every day we got rain. Every day in big enterprises, the rain is getting through. What people are doing about it, and I'll use the leak example and then move to the enterprise. First, it's focused on remediation. Let's bring these buckets, take this rain outside. Think about it in our daily life. I don't think that we all like to live in a house when every day we will shut off the limit. So others are saying, let's focus on incident response. Call the experts, try to find the experts. They will get the leaks out of our house. They'll get the water. Others are saying, let's pretend it doesn't happen. We don't know, and maybe we are okay until we don't see the huge damage. And just this weekend, by the way, I think there was the biggest settlement of cybercrime, $115 million. An insurance company in the US is paying now for people that their information was revealed in a cyber attack. Let's pretend it isn't happening. Again, not a very good solution. And try to patch our leaky roof with many different point solutions. That's another approach that we're all taking. Again, not enough based on what we saw in previous slide. Is that enough? So let's move it and see how it will look in the technology world and not in our house. If this is our enterprise, our main network, people around it, people that are mobile, people outside, we need to protect all of it. So today the approach is putting many different solutions, multi-vendor approach, and you can see we've put a firewall many years ago, and I'm proud to be a person that invented that 24 years ago. We need to cover more, so we put another technology and another technology, and we hope that by building these too many point solution, we will get protection against the rain. The reality, we can see the rain coming through. There are inherent gaps in this architecture. We have a lot of investment, we have a lot of technology, we need a lot of people to maintain that, but you see there are many, many holes, and the rain will come through, and our enterprise will be flooded with attacks, and that's what we see. We get incomplete coverage between solutions. So what are we doing about that? We focus on post-breach technologies that mitigate the attacks, technologies that detect the breaches after they occurred. There's a huge investment. Big number of the companies that we are seeing in cyberspace today are dealing with detecting the attack after it's happened. And we're saying attacks are inevitable, so we might as well mitigate the damage. And let me tell you, I don't think it's the right approach. I don't think that we should live in a leaky environment. Just like in our house, if we'll see that it's leaking every day, we will fix the roof or build a better one with a new technology. So what's the conclusion? We're under a constant attack. We are not taking action. We are investing, but not in the right places. And the question is, can we find a better architecture? And that's what I think we should all adopt, a new thinking and a new architecture about how do we secure the future. So what do we need to think about? We need to first think about security as something that follows our business needs. Security is not where we know we have the technology. Security should be everywhere we operate in. Security should be done efficiently. We cannot come and try and raise more and more resources and hire more and more people. We should be able, with a small enough group of people, give our enterprises, give our countries excellent security. And mainly, we shouldn't accept the fact that attacks are getting inside. We should keep the attacks outside and focus on security prevention. And what that means is, first, we need to secure every environment. If in the past we focused, if yesterday it was about securing our network and our endpoint, today every one of us should be securing not just in the network and the endpoint, but also the cloud, the data center, and the mobile devices. And as we do that, because that's needed to be done today, we need to think about the future. In the future, we need to build security for the Internet of Things. We need to build security for national infrastructure, for national security. We need to build it for critical infrastructure and industrial environment, and even for automotive and cars. We are all under threats, and we need to build security that covers all these bases. And that's something we need to do. So how do we take that and apply it? If we have this architecture of multi-vendor solution, too many point products, plenty of solution, and by the way, many of them are good technologies. It's not that any one technology here is inappropriate, just a question of how we build it together. We need to take a different approach. And that approach will be to build a multi-layer solution when all the items, when we present a single vision and we put all the things to work together. Unified architecture, 100% focus on prevention, starting with the outbound layers of next generation firewall, advanced threat prevention, traditional threat prevention, and one single architecture with single management that addresses the cloud, mobile, and the network. And let me tell you guys, if we will keep focusing on patching what we have, on adding another single technology, we will never get there. But if we will start and lay out this vision to our enterprises, I think we can get there, and I believe we have the solution. And this is not something that's futuristic, this is something that exists today. And we've done a survey, and I just got the results last week, about customers that adopt architecture A, the multi-vendor architecture, and customers that adopt the unified architecture that's focused on prevention. And we asked them, are you seeing attacks? What are the costs? And I was actually quite shocked when I saw the results, but I'm going to present the results. Customers that focused on the first set of technologies, multi-vendor, many technologies, got an average of 40 days to identify an attack, and the cost of remediation that they reported was almost $700,000 per attack. This is very, very high and very consistent, by the way, with industry averages that we've seen, but I don't think it's good enough to show that we were breached and that we had to pay such a cost and for so long time. Customer that adopted a unified architecture that's 100% focused on prevention, and look at the numbers here, reported only an average of 2 days to identify an attack, and the cost of remediation, that's the shocking part, only about $7,000. So we have a ratio of 1 to 100 here between the effectiveness of these two approaches. And I can tell you that the right architecture should be much more efficient, much less costly in terms of the investment and the amount of people that we need to deliver security. So clearly, there is a solution and we can deal with it. So I'll try to summarize here. So summarizing what I had to say, the future of cybersecurity is already here, and I think you all know that, that's why you are here. We can build solutions for the future. We need to think forward. We cannot deal with augmenting our existing infrastructure more and more. We need to adopt a new architecture when thinking about the ultimate security with no gaps. We need that security to focus on prevention. Yes, sometimes we will need to do mitigation. Sometimes we will need to do things on the inside. But most of the times we need to prevent the attacks from getting in. That's the most effective way to keep ourselves clean. And so don't settle on detection and breach mitigation. And last and not least, we need to cover all our bases. The network, the cloud, and the mobile. It's not enough to deal with our traditional network. It's not enough to say we haven't seen huge damages coming from mobile. They will come, and we need to be ready. So that's what we are building, and that's what I think we should all think about when we build the architecture of the future. I really like to thank you all for being here today, this presentation, and this entire week. And thanks again to Professor Klafter and the University for hosting us and for these amazing awards. So thank you very much.